Good morning. This is not gonna work. And welcome to the weekly. Boy, everybody's having fun this morning. Weekly multi-platform service of Tri-County Unitarian Universalists, based in Summerfield, Florida. We acknowledge that we occupy the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the indigenous Florida peoples. I am Nancy Garrison, today's service leader. Hello to our members and friends, and a special welcome to those who might be visiting here for the first time. Unitarian Universalists are united not by a creed of shared beliefs, but by a covenant of shared values. We celebrate that we do not need to think alike to love alike. It is our respect and encouragement of each other's diversity of thought that truly binds us together. For the curious and for the seekers, Unitarian Universalist values and covenant may be found on your order of service and at our website, triuu.org. Our newsletter can also be found there under News and Events. We have announcements, but first, please mute your phone or place it in airplane mode. Thank you. If you're here today looking for Reverend Christina, our minister will be back at in the pulpit next Sunday. Next Saturday, May 23rd, from 9:30 to 11, there will be a coffee klatch at the home of Carole and Terry Ford. Enjoy the Ford's hospitality and bring no additional food. Seating is limited and sign-up is required. See flyers and the sign-up sheet on the table behind AV. Contact Andrea Coburn with any questions. I think there's still room the last time I looked, so. This concludes our announcements, and as we now begin the service proper, we will recite our mission statement. Please join with your voice as we recite together. Well, it's on the order of service. We unite in religious community to seek spiritual growth, live with integrity, and serve with compassion. Our chalice keeper today is Valerie Adams. We invite those of you joining us on Zoom to light your chalice at home.
Good morning. Good morning. On resilience, you will fall at times, but nothing in you is lost. Each return to your feet is a stall, remembering your strength. Marianne Williamson. That's right. They have a match?
You engineers. Before attending Andover Newton Theological School in Massachusetts in 1994, Reverend Carole Yorke had a variety of careers. After college, she was a high school English teacher. Then she spent 10 years working for IBM. After a series of part-time jobs, she found a position teaching basic skills to recovering drug addicts at Integrity House in Newark, New Jersey. From there, having experienced the call to ministry, Reverend Carole went to seminary. She came to Florida in 1998, served several churches here, and retired. She came out of retirement to do preaching gigs in various churches and has found several interesting places to do further work. Reverend Carole lives in Dunellen with her 2 Pomeranians.
And if I had gone to seminary in the last 4 years, if I had gone to Andover Newton in the last 4 years, I would have graduated from Yale Divinity. But Andover Newton is now immersed in Yale. But I had a good time. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, every single one of you, every part of you, beneath just beautiful just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to be more or do more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here. Nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or to anyone. You don't have to try and be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful, every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here in this Unitarian Universalist congregation. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you, different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. So let us all worship together. Our opening hymn is number 347. Oh, our whistle stop this morning is a piece from a book called Learning to Fall, The Blessings of an Imperfect Life, by Unitarian Universalist author Philip Simmons. It has been almost 4 years since I was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, he says, a degenerative and ultimately fatal neurological disease with no effective treatment and no cure. As the disease has progressed in my body, and as my disabilities steadily have grown, I have had to do the work of learning to live richly in the face of loss. Work that I call learning to fall. Actors and stuntmen learn to fall. Athletes learn to fall. Devotees of the martial arts learn to fall, as do dancers and rock climbers. Mostly, though, we learn to do it badly. But is not falling as much as climbing our birthright? We have all suffered and will suffer our own falls. The fall from youthful ideals, the waning of physical strength, the failure of a cherished hope, the loss of our near and dear, the fall into injury or sickness, and later or sooner, the fall to our own certain ends. We have no choice but to fall, and little to say, and little say as to the time or the means. And then he adds this personal anecdote. My balance is not so good these days. And a short time before I began work on this book last summer, this is several years ago now, I fell on the short path that leads through the woods from our driveway to the house. I had just helped my 6-year-old daughter into the car and turned to start down the path when I stumbled and went down hard. I lay stunned for a few moments, face numb, lip bleeding, chest bruised. My daughter Amelia standing over me asking, quite reasonably, what I was doing down there and whether I was all right. I wish I could have managed an answer such as, practicing my yoga, or listening for hoofbeats. What I was doing was learning to fall. In the days that followed this hard fall, I thought about the Buddhist practice of walking meditation, in which one becomes fully mindful of each step placed upon the earth. One of the blessings of my current stumbling condition is that I must practice this meditation continually, becoming mindful where I once was heedless. To walk upright upon the earth, what a blessing. And then Simmons concludes, We are all of us, all now, this moment, in the midst of that descent, fallen from heights that may now seem only a dimly remembered dream, falling toward a depth we can only imagine, glimpsed beneath the water's surface shimmer. And so let us pray that if we are falling from grace, dear God, let us also fall with grace, to grace. If we are falling toward pain and weakness, let us also fall toward sweetness and strength. If we are falling toward death, let us also fall toward life. Here ends this morning's reading.
As we move deeper into our service, let us turn inward to consider transitions, the joys, sorrows, and concerns we all experience in our life's journey. There are 3 bowls of stones of different colors, representing the gratitude of joy, the grief of sorrow, and the hope of concern. After those present have placed stones in the water, our ushers will place stones from each of the bowls into the water on behalf of those not physically present and those who have chosen not to or who are unable to come forward. Those online are invited to type into the chat to express what is in your heart. When all the stones have been mingled in the water and all have shared, we will take a moment for silent meditation or prayer. As the sound of the bells brings us back into community, we will sing our response, Spirit of Life. Ushers, you may now come forward. President Cindy Grossman has brought to my attention, just so you know, if you're new here especially, that if in your week ahead insert, there are two corrections. The forum mentioned was last Thursday, and the women's group at the bottom was yesterday. So, my mistake too. I proofread and I messed up. Oh, is that incorrect too? Meditation was this week. I don't even see it. I don't even see it. Okay, onward. We will now receive our offering. If you're visiting us for the first time, please do not feel obligated to give. You are our guest, and we are happy to have you here with us today. This is the time in our service when those who wish to make some monetary contribution to our congregation's vision and mission give to support this community and its outreach. I invite the ushers to come forward.
Every time I hear and sing Spirit of Life, takes me back to my first church in Florida. Spirit of Life you use in Oldsmar, up in, let's see, from here, that would be down in Hillsborough County, right? They named themselves, they were a new congregation, they named themselves Spirit of Life UUs. And then, because they thought that Carolyn McDade had written that song for them. One other little anecdote about that church, we bought property, but for the first year we had to be outside under the live oak trees. First time we sang Spirit of Life, guess what flew over? A flock of butterflies. Roots, hold me close. Wings, set me free. I'll never forget it. So how is your soul today? How do you feel? Pretty rotten about what's going on out there? Really, really pissed. Sad? Angry? Don't worry, I'm not going to do politics. I might slip once, but I'm not going to do it. Instead, I want to focus on something that's really very personal to all of us. I have probably over 10 or more years focused on falling, literally falling, not with this. With this, I don't fall because I hold on all the time. But I have fallen, especially bringing dogs in from the outside, because about 10 or 12 years ago, I had 5 dogs. I was nuts. And I had to let them out, let them all out, bring them all in, and there was one step up into the house, and if I didn't pay attention to it, bang, mostly on my butt. So falling is a serious concern in this country, for people over 65 especially, because statistics are, this is the only one I'll give you, there are 8 million people a year in the emergency rooms because of falling. Therefore, there's a whole lot of information out there on what to do to prevent your falling. So that's not what we're doing today. You can all find that information for yourselves. You know, tape the corners of your rugs down and grab bars here and there. You can get all that. You don't need to get it from me. But what we're going to do is talk about our responses to falling, as we heard from Simmons in the reading. And yet, despite all the reasonable and common sense knowledge about how to prevent falls, the truth is that when we look back on the event, if we fall, we feel like kicking ourselves for not paying more attention and being more careful. We almost always feel stupid or foolish when we fall, if we haven't ended up in the emergency room anyway, and wonder in the perfect clarity of hindsight why we weren't more careful. As careful as we may or may not be, the broader truth is, I think, that falling accidents will inevitably still happen to all of us. For a variety of reasons, they will just unavoidably happen. It's part of life. And the larger and more universal truth, which Philip Simmons made so beautifully clear in this reading, it's vastly more important for us to spiritually understand. He reminded us all that to live is to fall. And again, he's talking about emotional and spiritual realities far beyond the injury statistics about physical falling. I quote him briefly. We have all suffered and will suffer our own falls. The fall from youthful ideals, the waning of physical strength, the failure of a cherished hope, the loss of our near and dear, the fall into injury or sickness, and sooner or later, the fall to our own certain ends. We have no choice but to fall, and little to say to the time or the means. Now, I don't want to discourage any of you about the nature of life this morning. We have enough of that. But I believe the author is right. In a world such as this one, we have no choice but to fall. It is always important to remember that life on this planet is also filled with so much wonder and so much blessing and safety and grace. However hard it is to realize in the midst of fascism, as complex, difficult, and tragic as life can be, it is nonetheless also filled, literally filled, with so much ease and enjoyment. Though under the press and demands of daily living, we often temporarily forget it, the truth is that so much goes joyously and well in our lives. Indeed, I will assert that life is consistently and overwhelmingly good to us. One of the foremost spiritual reasons we come together here, you come together here each Sunday, is to remind ourselves of all the many ways we are quietly blessed by life's manifold gifts and graces. Have you said thank you to anyone recently? I want a showing of hands. Have you said thank you to someone recently? Good for you. And I believe it was almost unanimous. I can't quite see everybody over there, but good for you. Yes, we sometimes fall, but towering over that truth is the reality that faithfully every day the sun comes up, babies are born, although that number's going down. Did you see that? Babies are still born, but not in the usual numbers for this country. There's a sermon. Mozart is enjoyed. Books are savored. And after enjoying a bit of late night comedian's humor, although that's up for grabs, lovers snuggle their way back to sleep to prepare for life and love the next day. Every ordinary day, we are routinely showered with countless saving blessings, whether we deserve them or not. Granted, the situation of today has subtracted some of those from our lives. I will not say the man's name. But it is also true, and we human beings can also never forget this for long, that life regularly trips us up. Again, to live in a creation as open and random as ours is, to fall, sooner or later we all fall into some measure of sorrow, pain, tragedy, diminishment, loss, as Simmons suggested. falling, having to deal with some measure of diminishment and loss in life is universal. It's built right into the very structure of this universe. It is an immutable law of nature itself. So, the spiritual question, it seems to me, is not do we fall? Of course we do. The question is, how do we respond? Physically, emotionally, most importantly, spiritually, when we suddenly find ourselves in the painful and unwelcomed position of being face down on the hard ground of our own human being. The question is, how do we learn, as a matter of the human heart, to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and get back in the game of our own imperfect, challenging, and complicated lives, especially when the fall is a hard one. The spiritual key, it seems to me, to successful moving on from a fall, any kind of fall, but most especially serious falls that really jar us, is to possess a stoical and resilient heart. If you are able to have a stoical and resilient heart, you will, after the inevitable period of emotional and spiritual adjustment, be able to begin moving again. Moving with the creativity, the purpose, the joy, and the strength proper to a human being. Isn't that what it's all about? To be the best human being that you can be while you live here on this earth? Let me put all this another way. Being stoical in the original Greek sense means that you do not take difficulties that come your way personally. The Stoic knows that life is not out to get me, but rather that periodic hardships and falls are simply the way life on this planet is for everybody. So if you have a stoical heart, rather than ask the timelessly tempting, self-pitying question, why me? To which, incidentally, there is never a really acceptable answer. You ask right here in the heart, Philip Simmons' braver question, how can I live richly and well in the face of this loss? Now, being truly stoical and accepting of the new information about what's going to be the new shape of our lives, maybe, and then two, moving on with the new life-giving suppleness of heart and being, can be really hard spiritual work. There was an extra page somebody put in there. These are examples of what it means in the face of life's inevitable losses and limitations to be a stoical and resilient person, we need to first accept in our heads the impersonal laws of nature. It's not about you, honey. And the unfair and unwelcome ways the world so often works. And then number 2, adapt. In our hearts. A couple months ago, I just had a pacemaker because my pulse stopped for 5 seconds at a time. I saw it on a computer screen. Flatline. The doctor said, 5 seconds, we can't have you walking around like that. 3 seconds, not 5. So I just had this pacemaker. But now I have to. Can you hear that? Oh, then I'll leave it. I thought I turned that off. The one little thing about my pacemaker, while I was waiting to be scheduled and get in the hospital and all that, I would be sitting watching TV, and all of a sudden I feel lightheaded and just all kinds of weird things. So I developed my own thing called CPR, Carole's Pulse Rehabilitator. And what I would do, and I'm not going to thump on that side, but what I would do is thump on over my heart, and it would go away because I got my pulse going. I was so proud of myself. That one was for me, honey. Okay. Let me redo adapt. It's accept and adapt. Adapt in our hearts, realigning our expectations and recalibrating our attitudes and behavior to creatively and purposefully move ahead with that altered and sometimes diminished life we in fact have. Let me speak theologically for a moment. I take it as a matter of faith and hope that for we human beings, it is our destiny, even after we fall, to live fully, richly, joyfully, and well, at least as much as complicating circumstances will allow. Our human lives should be purposeful, satisfying, and rewarding, even when we have to live with real losses and hard falls that we, of course, would never have chosen. This is what it means, friends, to learn how to fall. Next time you suddenly find yourself face down, I pray you keep your heart open and your life moving. Choose to remain in your world, bringing everything you've got to what you've got left. No matter what diminishment or disappointment comes your way, keep living and loving. Keep choosing to be to be fully and finally human, because that is what you were from birth designed to be. We, all of us, by God, are human beings who were intended from the first stirrings of our lives in our mother's wombs. For we were intended for full and rich and purposeful living. Yes, doors, all kinds of existential doors are opened and then closed in our faces all the time. To live is to fall. But no matter what doors are closed to us, no matter how we are injured, if we take a tumble, we are still free to take that next adventurous, brave step forward, and by so doing, discover the abundant and holy life that lies just on the other side. In your next fall, and it will be one, some kind, not necessarily physical, accept and adapt and continue to live fully with love. Amen.
Please stand and join us for our closing hymn, number 168, One More Step. Valerie Adams will now read our chalice extinguishing message.
From the prose of If by Rudyard Kipling, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, yours is the world and everything that's in it.
I invite anyone who has just begun to visit with us and who wishes to do so to introduce themselves. Please raise your hand and an usher will bring a microphone to you. Please speak directly into the top of the microphone so we can hear you better. Anybody new online today? Nope. No. Okay. If you would like to receive regular communications, this is anybody, even if you have never gotten a visitor card filled out, they'll be available at the door after the service. We are interested to hear how you experienced this hybrid worship service and/or what you took away from the sermon. For those who are on Zoom, raise your hand to speak or type your comment in the chat box. For those here in the Chalice room, please raise your hand. If there is time, I will call on you. Please share your name and speak directly into the top of the microphone. Please stand in front of the pulpit if you'd like our Zoom friends to see you. Please keep comments brief and on topic. No announcements, please. Cindy? Oh, was there someone? It's hard to see it.
Right after. Good morning. This was a really good sermon for, because it's a lesson that I think is so important for us to learn. My mother has doctors, and some of them don't have really great bedside manner. And there's one doctor in particular who told her, "You fall, you die." Not very good bedside manner, okay? But he really did instill on her the importance of adapting, the importance of using her, she has a walker just like that, using the walker every day, adapt, make sure that you're using those adaptive materials. My father was not like that. My father wouldn't use a cane, and he fell one time too many. He's gone now. But, it's so important to adapt to our limitations. My husband, in his 40s, my late husband, I should say, but in his 40s, had brainstem encephalitis. And he was going to have to use a wheelchair for the rest of his life. He also couldn't speak and swallow well. He had all kinds of other limitations. But we did everything using adaptive technologies. We did everything. He was a poet. We did poetry readings. I had people reading with him and for him at those poetry readings. In New York City, if you're in a wheelchair, you can go to so many concerts and so many plays for free, and then your partner, which was me, got to go half price. Okay, in New York City, that's a really big deal. But we went to so many concerts and so many theater performances. At the end of his life, not long before he died, he said to me, "These last 10 years have been the best years of my life. I learned to live with my limitations, and I was able to really do the things that were most important to me." And I think that Brene Brown talks a lot about this psychologically too, that living with your vulnerabilities is a very important life lesson. So I really appreciate you bringing that home for me again today. Let's live with our vulnerabilities and use the adaptive technologies that we have so that we can do well. Thanks.
Pardon? I see Peg's hand. Peg, it's hard for me to see everyone from down here, so if there was someone sooner.
Thank you, Linda. Hello, I'm Carole, and I so appreciate this. It reminded me of my long grief when my mom developed dementia. I didn't recognize it at the beginning. It was just, oh yes, you forget words. And then there were hallucinations and that decline. It was such a long grief, and it was so difficult for me to accept it. And it's the acceptance of these horrid things that happen to us, the horrid things that are happening in the Middle East, the horrid things that are happening in politics, in life, in daily life, not just my life, not just me, not just my decline into death. That's one thing. But it's the other things. It's those around us that to watch the declines. And that's the most bitter, difficult thing. But adapting is important. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Carol. Peg? Peg?
Good morning. I'm a gardener, and I live by myself, so I spend a lot of time out in the yard alone, especially really early in the morning. And I'm quite prone to put down a pair of clippers, or put down a trowel, or put down a pair of gloves, or whatever, and never see them again, or almost never see them again. And a couple of weeks ago, I have this little stone wall in front of the garden, and I stepped up on the stone wall because I'm concentrating on the flowers I'm going to cut, instead of the fact that that stone I stepped on was no longer adhered to the wall. And over I went, laying on my back on the lawn, 6:30 in the morning, nobody around, and looking from side to side about how the heck am I going to get up from here? And to my right, I saw the trowel that I had dropped about 4 days before, and I thought to myself, it's a good thing I fell, because something good is going to come out of this. And I eventually did get up, obviously. So I guess my point is that even when we fall, so much of how disastrous it is depends on what your attitude is and what you're going to do with it and do about it. Some falls are worse than some others, but I haven't seen one yet in my life that I haven't recovered from, and I hope that's the case the rest of my days.
Very nice, thank you.
Thanks, Peg. I think over on that side, so, yeah, Bruce, Tom Murphy. You did that, Paul, yeah.
I just want to let you know I'm a walking demonstration of when we were in Ireland, I was busy looking at something else and fell. Prior to that, I remember falling once when we were in Spain and also once when we were in Greece. Those were all three bad falls. But what I did when I got home last week is I booked another cruise so we can fall someplace else.
Thanks, Tom. Go ahead. I don't know who was next anymore. There's somebody online? No. Okay, next one.
Very good message this morning. Thank you so much. We are working very hard to get a speaker this September for our forum. This subject is a matter of balance. It's based on an 8-week class taught at the Villages Healthcare. You don't have to be in their healthcare system to attend this class, but Bill and I took the class last year and learned a lot from it. So we're tentatively scheduling it for this fall. You'll get all kinds of information. The speaker is coming out for 1 hour to give you information about the class, but please come. You'll learn so much and hopefully prevent falls. Thanks.
I think we have Myra online, please, on Zoom.
Hello. Yesterday, I went to the Sunshine Cluster group, and we talked about meeting the moment. And the theme for me was that everybody was afraid of something. All the congregations were afraid of something. And so that's interesting. And it seems to me that this is the perfect response sermon for that, because this may tell us how to be at peace with that. And I just thought, well, geez, you could have come and fixed this up yesterday. But like the whole district, we're all like nervous about something. And one thing I took from what you said is that it's important to accept what is. And it said, and you said to live is to fall. And these are significant to me because the day before the new year, I fell and I hurt myself really bad. And I made a decision that my New Year's resolution, which I don't normally make, is to not fall in 2026. And I'm working really hard on it, and there's been some close calls. So this sermon was just for me.
Andrea?
Thank you. Oh my goodness, what happened to my voice? Thank you so much, Reverend Yorke. And I have to mention too that I appreciate your slower pace in your delivery. that, everything is all frequently so fast-paced, but I really appreciate it that it gave me time to process a little bit more. But my takeaway is not just the thing about physical falling, but the falling, the social falls, you might even say the moral or the thoughtless, the mistakes we make in relationships and failing in that, saying the unkind word or the thoughtless word or the whatever it is, missing some opportunities. And those are fallings also. But the same attitude, I think, prevails, as you suggested, to learn from it and to be better because of that. So thank you so much for that insight as well.
Thank you.
Helene has someone else online, I believe. Oh. Casey. Yep, she's on. Kathy Coffey.
Am I on? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. I wasn't too sure. I will keep it brief. I could go on and on because you touched so many things, Reverend. But what I thought of, because I've had a lot of physical falls as well, and I had been a nurse, and I did restorative nursing at one point. And what I found was, it came back to me in my own journey with falling. And that is what I used to say to my patients: listen, you're still going to get from point A to B, but we're going to have to learn to do it differently. And a lot of that, too, I realized that they needed reinforcement to counteract it was a real fear of falling. But then sometimes anxiety would take its place. Fear was when there was no longer a threat, but yet it still lingered and transformed into anxiety. And so I remember those things for myself. And it's how I've come to call on courage in so many other areas, as you bring up the emotional and spiritual challenges, when I've lost sight and lost my erroneous expectations, came to mind, and how I had to come to remain, as you opened up with the awareness that I'm already complete, I'm already whole, I am perfect as I am. Perfect in scripture means complete. And that it's just now a matter of returning to it, becoming aware, consciously aware of who I am. And then I share the same DNA, my sacred lovingness with other people. And that seems to ground me and it empowers me to unbind myself from so many of the falsities that you mentioned. So I thank you. Not only your readings, but your lived experience really punctuated this for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. I think that's all. Okay, we have the benediction. Go ahead with the benediction.
Just a few more words in closing. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a song. Go in peace, gentle people.
Lovely. Join us for coffee and fellowship in the back of the room until 11 o'clock. There is a sign-up sheet on the table near the bookshelves to coordinate with others who would like to go out for brunch. The Zoom room will stay open for 20 minutes.